Hello, 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 you guys. It is Ebony. It is I, and today we're going to talk about Miss Pink Pantheress. I was a little bit annoyed because I actually started doing this, and then I realized after damn near 15 minutes that my mic was never on. The transmitter was in, so none of the audio was captured, but the mic was not on. I will say, for some reason, and I don't know if this is specifically attached to her. I don't know if it's just me having just a strange day. Um, but I'm like, other people kept coming up. I just kept having all of these random thoughts and random like downloads in the middle of it, and I was like, I don't know who the fuck, like, it might just be me, it might just be me having a time, um or whatever. But yeah, for some reason there's just a lot that keeps coming through when I'm talking about her, about other people, about things that really don't have nothing to do with her, but for some reason involve her. It's like it constantly keeps on happening for some reason. Anyways, I was saying for her next album, I think that Pink Panthers could actually take a very big departure away from her typical, like, her normal sound. Um, and the thing about it is, I am of the belief that if someone has a lane, has a thing that they're good at, they don't necessarily need to pivot. Not everyone needs to be like Beyonce, doing 17 genres and bending everything, every single thing. You don't have to fix what's not broken. And some people just like, and they just resonate. They make one kind of music. Their life is devoted to a genre. I don't think it's wrong. Like, I love people who can switch it up, but if you can do the one thing that you do well, also stick with that. I just think that Pink may alienate people a little bit. And it's very interesting because even like the first time that I did it, uh, even the first time that I did it, it's very strange to me because I feel like it's kind of a grower, not shower. And even though people may initially not get it or feel a little bit bewildered, specifically because it comes from her, I think that they will definitely grow to love this. Like, I think it's definitely a quality album. I just think that it's very different. I was saying stylistically, she could also be a little bit different. And she has her signature like bang wig. Let's say for example, she goes back to getting braids, or maybe she stays with a wig, but she rocks like a different cut, or she rocks a different color. There could be definitely a great departure in terms of what we've seen her as and what we've heard her as. I was also saying that people could be a little bit upset because Pink Panthers could like break through, and I was talking about like how Pink Panthers, like, I'm gonna be honest, aside from the Spice Girls, and even then, like, Pink Panthers is highly successful. Like, she really has hits, and I was gagging because I was like, you guys, Pink Panthers is probably a very rich bitch. Like, she's very successful. She's very successful. Like, that's a girl with two top tens to her name, and she's only getting started. Like, it's only what, an album or two out. Like, by the time this next album comes out, it's going to be a lot of um anticipation. I should have checked honestly in between, but I don't know if Pink has won a Grammy yet. I would honestly be surprised if she didn't get it. She's definitely going to get it with this next album cycle. And honestly, it might be more than one. She has to have won a Grammy. She has to at least have gotten nominated. But this next Grammy cycle, or whenever this album gets submitted, especially if it's within the next year, I didn't get that far. Honestly, I don't think so, but we'll see. But this might be something that gets her multiple awards. I'm like, I think that she won this year. Like, I think that she won at the top of this year. She had to at least have won one, but I'm not sure. And maybe multiple too. I was saying that. I was thinking about the photo of like Billie Eilish and Beyonce. I'm not saying that it'll be five, but I do think, I'm looking at these two right here, it definitely feels like it'll be more than one to me. It could also be more than one nomination as well. Yeah, I just think that people may take it hard that she's not herself, quote unquote, herself anymore. But I do think that however she's pivoting or however she's transitioning, I think is really good. At the end of the day, I think it's a worthy transition. I think it's really good. But I do think that there is a stark contrast between some of the stuff that she made, obviously, at one point in her life, at the first part of her career at a certain age, versus in the next part of her life. Like, she just turned 25. Obviously, she's getting a little bit older. She kind of always has this like innocence and this kind of whimsy to her. So maybe she's getting a little bit more grown. I was saying that it reminds me a lot of Self-Titled. Not necessarily. Oh, hold on. There's also a part of me that wonders if Pink could get honored by, because it kind of feels like she might get high honors, but it honestly feels like I said, it feels like the people don't like it. Like, it's very strange because it feels like there's an immediate kind of knee jerk, not really enjoying what she has going on, but then over time it being really, really well. I compared it to Doechie's album, where Alligator Bites Never Heal got 11K the first week. People were clowning that album, and then 6 months later it won a Grammy. It had sold 100K. Like, I was saying, at this point, I'm sure that it's probably gold, if not very close. It may be an album that really speaks to her artistry, and that's what I'm saying. I do feel like over time, and I don't even feel like this is a super long time. Like, Brad took a little bit of time to pop off, not a lot. It was within 2 months where she kind of changed her destiny, right? But like, it wasn't just an immediate, just like first week, a million sales, Brad Summer. It wasn't that. It wasn't that until about July, right? But I do think it could get her recognized by a lot of these big names in the industry. It just kind of feels like the people are like, I don't think that people like this, or at first it's very jarring to hear her be so different, because I don't feel like garage and drum and bass is going to be significant. And that's why I said in the beginning, I don't necessarily think it's something that she needs to move away from. I don't really see it as something that is a necessary pivot, but she may feel like she just wants to do it, you know, especially if this next album is very pop, or for example it's very very R&B, because she exists in between those spaces. I think that she can definitely have a more soulful take on like drum and bass, but I don't really feel like Pink Panthers is like really like, she's alternative pop, you know, or like alternative R&B. It's definitely not your cookie cutter like Coco Jones kind of thing. But let's say hypothetically this is very very rock, right? Or this is very very pop. I think people could be like, what the fuck is going on? I think it's on brand for her, but it's definitely different to what she has going on. People are very very surprised by this, and it does go well. It just has, if people have strong opinions about it in the beginning, like, wow, this is very different, because she is somebody who has had a very consistent kind of sound and look. It kind of reminds me a little bit of when Avril Lavigne all of a sudden got very very feminine, and obviously in the very beginning of her career she was kind of anti that, you know, very down, plain and kind of down to earth. I also wonder if this may be something that's a little bit more sexy, like, because you know, Pink Panthers, we know, like, we know that she has sex, right? We know that she's a sexual being, but at the same time, she's very aloof about things. She's very aloof, and like I said, for the most part, she's very innocent. Like, she's mature enough to say that that's something that's happening, as like obviously, but it's not a big theme in her music the way that with other people it tends to be very very sensual and very very pleasure focused. It's not to say that she doesn't like a boy. Like, we know that she's obsessed with boys and she's in love, and so of course she's experienced the thrills of passion, but it's not a super centric thing in her music, whereas it could definitely become that. I wonder if it might even be strange for people really seeing her as really truly a sexual being. Which is, like I said, it's not that people know that, it's not that people think she's devoid of it. It's just she's not a very sensory, sexy kind of person, even though we know she can get down with the get down when it's time to get down. I honestly wonder if it's a question about, like, I don't, if it becomes very misogynistic, because you know, people all of a sudden, like, you know, they like to look at sexy women, but when you claim that sexiness, all of a sudden it's a hoe, and you have to do all this. I don't know, like, that's what I'm saying. I don't know if there's a lot of conversation, negative conversation about how she's presenting herself. Um, because I'm just like, I don't know if there's a pivot that people feel like they don't really like especially if this is with her look or with her subject matter. People are like, this is very different for you. But I do think that over time, like, it's not even, like I said, I don't feel like it's like a crazy grower. Like, I feel like this is honestly a narrative that could shift within 2 months of the album coming out. But like, I do think that people will initially have very strong reactions to what she is doing. It's shocking, it's different, right? I honestly wonder if people may think that she's kind of referencing somebody else, or maybe somebody else has rubbed off on her. I don't know if people even think that maybe somebody else around her would kind of deliver this a little bit better than her. I wonder if some of the conversation is that maybe she doesn't really do it well, or people don't see her as super sexy. Like, you know, Chloe Bailey, people kind of give her hell on earth because they don't really find her sex appeal appealing. You know, like, it might be one of those things where I don't know if it's what she does is a little bit corny, or people are just like, this is a little bit too left field. Like, it's strange. It kind of reminds me of Tyler a little bit, where it doesn't really seem like she's off, like all the way off putting to people, but people have very strong negative and then very very strong positive opinions about her, and it kind of goes back and forth, or it's like like I said, a very much a knee jerk reaction. Yeah, I do think that she will kind of fully be a crossover act. If I didn't finish that thought earlier, I was saying, like, it's not to say that we've never had successful British people over here. One Direction was a thing, Spice Girls was a thing, but like, as a solo British artist, I'm like, is there someone I'm forgetting? Like, we have like an Amy Winehouse, but at the same time, Amy Winehouse, her career number one, no shade, wasn't that long. Um, and she was already kind of marred by the press. Like, other than like, is Elton John British? Like, I'm really trying to think who would have been as successful as her over here. I'm, like I said, that might be a little bit of an ignorant question. I'm like, in modern day, not really, not a lot. Maybe in the 90s and the 80s, it might have been a little bit different, but I don't remember. I do think that she could redefine pop. You know, people reference, you know, Pink Panthers a lot. Like, honestly, she's really single handedly responsible for all this drum and bass that we see in the forefront. Sorry, like things like Jersey music. I'm not saying that she's necessarily ruling over that, but like, obviously, some of those kind of glitch sped up sounds I think have risen to popularity because of her music. Obviously, we've seen her impact in K-pop. Pink Panthers is someone who gets referenced a lot. We don't talk about how much the K-poppies really love her, and how, like, when to be honest, like, New G's, there are a lot of people who can attribute a lot of their hits to some of the sounds that Pink Panthers brought to the forefront. We do not talk about how innovative she was. I do think that she could definitely do this again in terms of her take on pop. Could definitely introduce new sounds, especially if these are very niche sounds or very British sounds. Yet again, like, you know, this might even be, I'm thinking about all around the world. So this could definitely be dance pop in a way that we haven't heard it. Like, I know those people, they're probably like Swedish, like more like Zara Larsson, but this might be, I mean, her and Zara just had a hit, right? So I do feel like her music is very European, or obviously very niche. It definitely feels like there's a very specific sound that's attributed to her. And so that might be why it's different, but and it's good, but it's, people are shocked by how different it is. She's also a much respected producer. This might be something that she gets a lot more recognition for. I wouldn't be surprised if she starts getting awarded off of this. I wonder if she would even get like I don't know if you're able to get awarded on your own project in terms of producer of the year, but she might get some producer awards, you know, from the Academy. I know it's something that you don't really see a lot of women in, so she could also have some successes in places where it tends to be just men. That's what I'm saying. It feels like she's definitely done something new, and she's beat a lot of people's records. She can definitely be kind of undoubtedly seen as a pop star, as the pop star, as the pop girl, as the girl from Britain. And kind of, and she could become. She's already, like I said, she's highly successful. She could be very, very successful at this time. Like, this could definitely be more than one top 10 for sure within this album. It's just really funny because I think that I'm thinking about Flo. I'm not saying this is them specifically, but there could be other people who kind of felt like they wanted it. I don't know if certain people kind of feel like it's a certain kind of rat race, or this is a narrative that becomes a thing during her rollout of like being the next pop girl or like the next British girl to do certain things.
What's the best thing that ever? Whoa!
I don't like white people.
Why?
Okay, talk to me.
Can you give me a
I
chance?
don't like Nikki Sailor. I'm an equal opportunity motherfucker hater.